Okay, welcome to American football in Finland. I'm here with Senior Crocodiles head coach Keary Iarussi. What's going on, coach?
Nice to be here. Nice to be in the finals.
You said it best. It's always a good feeling when you're in the championship, you know?
Yep.
Can't can't have anything negative going on if you're in the championship. But I want to ask you a couple questions about the Maple Bowl game and how it's coming. First thing I wanted to say was that this has been an amazing season for the Senior Crocodiles. It's really good to see you guys kind of live up to the hype, as we've been saying all year. Is this was the season that we expected the Senior Crocodiles to be kind of like the top dog, and you guys were for most of the season. I don't think there's many games, if any, where you weren't expected to win the game, which leads me to my first question: is how do you keep your team? How did you keep your team motivated each week throughout this season, knowing that you were expected to win, but you still have to play the games on the field? I know that's a difficult situation, so I
Yeah.
just wanted to know, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah. Well, I think this year is a long time coming, and so we have a lot of experience. We have a lot of leaders on the team, and I think we kind of figured near the end of the season last year. We figured out some stuff, and we figured out how we need to practice, how we need to prepare ourselves, and that definitely has helped us over the course of the season this year, and just the overall mentality that we're playing one game at a time. And we got to be a lot more consistent, for instance, than we were last year. And then even throughout the season, I think our performance has gotten more, you know, consistency has gotten better throughout games and then from game to game.
Okay, so what I want to ask now was, despite you guys' overall record, obviously you won a ton of games, but we watched the games. You were in a lot of close games this season. A
Hmm.
lot of games that kind of either came down to the end, or there was you guys being up by a lot and then the other team maybe getting back into it late in the game, those situations. But what do you consider some of the main reasons why you guys were able to come away with the win more often than not? Like, a lot of teams play close games, but when you guys were playing close games, me as a spectator, I was still saying, okay, it's close, but Crocs are going to win because they're the Crocs. So what I want to ask you is kind
Yeah.
of behind the curtain, how do you get your team to continually deal with adversity and perform at such a high level in those situations?
Yeah. Well, I think it's like what I said to the last question. It's mental toughness, it's leadership, it's experience. When we've gotten into tough games, you would think that, like you said, being expected to win a lot of games, having all those expectations on you, and not only expectations just to win, but to perform at a certain level, game in and game out, no matter who the competition is. It's tough. It's a long season, personnel changes, you have injuries, you have all this stuff, but just taking each game one game at a time, and all that other stuff, really combined to help us in close games. And when we were down, even or things got close, I think that's when we've played some of our best football. I think one of our the Roosters game, the Kuopio game, and then last week against Vaasa, you saw us come out, in very close games in each of those. In the Roosters game, obviously, we're losing at half big. Come out and really play well in the third quarter, in the second half in general, and finish games off. That's something that we weren't doing earlier in the season. And I think that shows that this team's really resilient. They're really mentally tough. They got the leadership. They got the experience. So when we get in a close game, it's not anything. We're not surprised, and we just keep playing our game.
That's awesome, coach. So you guys played the Butchers about 2 months ago. That's the last time you seen them. A lot has changed, but on the Crocodile side, what have you guys improved upon from that last game to this game that you think is going to be helpful in making sure you get the win?
Well, I think it starts with personnel, just like it always does. So I think Oxley Saarinen, the safety's back for us, and that's obviously a huge help in the secondary and then defensively in general. We got Diego Paz, defensive end. We added in August offensive lineman to kind of round out the offensive line. Mateus Stockcamp. So besides those and other guys coming back, getting healthy again. So I think we're about as healthy as we've been at any point during the season, so that's good. But other changes, I think, we just kind of started playing. I don't know what it was, but we went through a period starting maybe before the UNC game, but really we felt it in the first UNC game, the second UNC game, the second Porvu game, maybe after that as well, in a game or two, where the second Baza game, where we came in, played really well in the first half, about as well as we could. We were up on Porvu 21-0 at halftime. In the second game, we kind of forget about that. And then we just kind of let things slip away from us in the third quarter and then into the fourth. And we, playing 3 quarters of football or 2.5 quarters of football and not 4 quarters of football. So I think, I hope that has changed. And like I said before, with the Roosters game, with the Kuopio game, and then now with the semifinal game, I think that we've come out and played really well in those 3, played, I can't say that we played a 4-quarter game in the Roosters game, but we definitely played a good second half. And then the other 2 games, I thought we played a solid 4-quarter game. So we got to have that in this one on Saturday too.
Yeah. So talking about this game, it's a big game for both teams. Having neither team really been having won a Maple Bowl in a very long time. I want to say last time the Crocs, it was like 2001. Last time the Butchers, like 2010. So both teams, a lot on the line, a lot of storylines in this game. If it was up to you to explain to someone why this game is so important this year, what would you say to, fans and spectators out there who are thinking about watching this game this weekend?
Yeah, well, I think it's obviously the most obvious thing is that the Kuopio Steelers aren't playing in it, and so there's going to be a new champion, and I think that's really interesting. And we're going to a bunch of guys who hadn't had a ring, a bunch 2 new teams that hadn't had this experience are gonna have it. So it's exciting. We were in the finals last year, and we went through that. Obviously, disappointed with the result, but it does make things easier as we're going throughout the week this time. We've played, that was a tight game, and we had to overcome a lot of adversity in that game as well, come back late, to tie it before losing it. But I think that's obviously that's a huge experience for the players, especially the local players. Corver's going to get that, and so it's really exciting to see after this season, after this game, how both teams are gonna go after that.
All right, Coach. Well, I appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time and wish you the best of luck in the Maple Bowl this weekend.
Thank you for the interview.